Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. The ANC thinks white people in South Africa are right-wing. Don't take my word for it. Take Mr. Fix-Call's word for it. And Byron, interestingly enough, I actually agree completely with Mr. Fix-Call. I never thought I would say it, but I completely agree.
Yeah, the only reason that you would agree with Mr. Fix-Call is because anybody who doesn't agree with ANC bullshit ideology means, according to the ANC, they're right wing. Embrace it, guys. If you don't support the ANC, you're right wing. Next, you're probably going to be white supremacist as well. What do you think, Ramon?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a given. We really are. But I think this is an important juncture in South Africa where we have the Communist Party and the ANC, which are the same thing, destroying the country. What is the best alternative to that is actually to be conservative, right? Because think of what conservative means in the global sense. It's not about abortion rights and tax cuts like the Americans do it. Conservatism is about conserving what works. So if you want to build the alternatives to the Communist Manifesto, which is the ANC, you actually have to imbibe and be right-wing to thrive and flourish and build in South Africa. And the ANC understand that. So they're doing us all a favor by telling us what the blueprint is to survive in South Africa.
Yeah, I think you should actually understand what conservative means according to the Oxford Dictionary, because most people obviously see conservatism in a very traditional sense of holding on to the past. But that's not actually what it means when it comes to political structures. So according to the Oxford English Dictionary, in the political context, it favors free enterprise, private ownership, and socially traditional ideas. I think we can all agree to that. We agree with free enterprise. We agree with the markets. We agree with property rights, private ownership, and in terms of socially traditional ideas, we believe in the family unit, the ability to raise your family in order to have personal prosperity and to get along without government interference. I think that pretty much sums up our viewpoint. That is, in these days, considered to be conservative. And naturally, according to the current paradigm, if you are conservative, you're right wing.
Yes, but the conservative mindset is what makes this country great, because we are in a scenario where the communists have destroyed things. The only way out of it is to be conservative locally, build things in a conservative fashion, learn from the traditions of our ancestors who, built things in this country, who explored this country, who made this country what it has become. So therefore, I think it's important for the audience to understand is you must inculcate that right-wing conservative mindset, because that is what will give you the tools to build the alternatives to the communist state and make South Africa that pioneering society that we all want it to be. And before we carry on with the show, here is a quick word from our sponsors, Bitvice. Let's be honest, Bitcoin is by far the best performing asset of the last decade, and a lot of people are using Bitcoin to hedge themselves against government overreach and fiat currency debasement, otherwise known as inflation. And that's why the guys over at Bitvice have developed their latest product, Sat Stacker. Essentially, you set a debit order, you accumulate Bitcoin every single month. Your Bitcoin won't be on an exchange, it won't be in anyone's hands, it will be directly deposited into your private wallet. So accumulate Bitcoin today, and every single month you set the price, you set the frequency, SatStacker does all the rest. In order to get started, click the link in the description below.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to understand also then taking into the definition of communism. So what does communism mean? It basically means the replacement of private property and profit-based economy with public ownership and communal control. So it is the public ownership and the communal control of central government that has destroyed South Africa. So if you say, I am anti-communism, I am anti that, and I would like a conservative framework that of private ownership and individual responsibility and traditional values of my family and my personal well-being, that makes you right-wing, according to the commies. But is it the communist ideology that's destroyed South Africa and many other countries in the first place? There are no countries on the planet where communism has actually been successful. So why we are still sitting in 2023 trying to do any form of promotion of communism is beyond me. Now, naturally, for those of us with a brain cell that doesn't naturally just follow the ANC's bullcrap, we know that communism is a bad idea. We also know then that the only alternative is to embrace the alternative, private enterprise, free market enterprise. And unfortunately, by doing that, you are, as Dorata has recently found out, going to be classed as right-wing, far right, if you take that viewpoint.
Yes, indeed. I fully agree with you. But the point I'm trying to make is that the right-wing mindset is the thing that is going to make you stay here and build in a state of society. We always say on this particular show, the pioneering state is what South Africa will be. It's like the Wild West from the 1800s. What were the characteristics of that era that made it what it was. And it was basically large scale non intervention by the state because they couldn't have it. They didn't have the technology to do it back then. So what you had was pioneers who went out and tamed nature, who went out and created communities, who went out and created value where there wasn't any before. Right now in South Africa, value is being destroyed by the centralized communist state. So the answer, the natural answer to that is to be right wing, is to be conservative, is to build things on those very principles. So instead of saying conservatism is about apartheid, conservatism is actually about building the very things that make us thrive in a crumbling nation.